call, please, Judy.
Gary Bailey.
Here.
John Dooley.
Here.
Deborah Potter.
Here.
Kevin Whipple.
Here.
Bill Ernst.
Here. Next is the approval of the agenda. There's two changes. Under airport manager's report, after that, we're going to discuss the budget and approve it, I hope. And the other one is a thing from our attorney, Steve Lowe, or about Steve Lowe, that Mr. Trivett wants entered into the records for him to proceed.
Where do we want these in the agenda, Bill?
They'll both be under the airport report with Jerry Scheidler, right after that.
After Jerry.
Mhm.
Okay.
Anybody see anything else that needs to be corrected or changed? If not,
I'll accept the motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve with the amendments.
I'll second it.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes? If they have, are there any discussions, any changes, corrections, anybody sees on that needs to be made? If not, I'll accept the motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. John, you want to do the financial report?
It's a financial report for the Greensburg Municipal Airport. We have the three separate accounts. In the airport improvement account, our year-to-date balance, $368,158.71. Aviation and rotary fuel account, $76,811.27. Airport operations account balance is $395,961 even. The total of all three accounts combined, $840,930.98.
Any questions? If not, we'll move on. Mr. Shaffer, update on construction and water.
Yep, construction, the month of May was a lot better month than April. They've made some pretty good progress out there. Currently, they're in their last 2 weeks of the on-site material. So they've been excavating from the northern ponds, taking it down to the south end and finishing embankments. They had real good tests yesterday right up into the rain. And so they had 3 of the soil tests were passing. One was a little over optimum moisture. Even though it was dusty out there, the south end is still a little damp. So they're working on that. Of course, with the rain, today they were out just putting erosion control measures back in place and trying to making sure things are draining. They haven't started installing field tile along all the swales to help on keep the drainage moving. So about 2.5 weeks left of on-site material, then they'll start bringing off-site material in. That'll go a little slower, but we're hoping if all things go well and the weather cooperates, that'll be about 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
6 weeks, yeah.
So we're talking approximately 9 weeks out till they can turn it over to
O'Mara. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So O'Mara, as you made motions last meeting, and I put it in your reports just so you had a copy of the executed notice to proceed. The partial notice to proceed was issued, and they acknowledged it, got it all signed. They signed POs on the electrical, so we're anticipating shop drawings come back from that so they can get the electrical ordered. So if all things go well, they will get all of their preliminary stuff approved and ready to go. So as soon as they get the site, they are off and running. So
How long do you expect them from when they start that they're mobilized enough on site that they can really start doing work? Take them 3-4 days, a week?
probably about a week. Their first order of business is going to be the soil stabilization. And we haven't done shop drawings on that yet because we need to get samples from the borrowed material that they're bringing in. And then we'll make a decision whether that's going to be lime stabilized or cement stabilized.
Okay. Now that's coming from Harris City?
I believe so.
Okay.
And then the electrical can be installed at the same time they're doing soil stabilization, the vault and all that jazz. So we'll see. If we get the pavement this year, we'll be really quite pleased. But right now, we're still anticipating not paving until springtime. So there are no action items this month because HIS hadn't made enough progress to get a progress estimate into us, so we're not paying them anything this month. There will be one next month. We did, just to follow up on some of those issues out there, the Narwhal field continued to be an issue through May, but I think we've got the field tile all restored now to the farmers' expectations for the time being. We still will put a concrete outlet protector around the field tile in the finished state, and the riprap will go in that basin for the final configuration, but it's not in that today. They have the.
Now, will that be PVC from the property line to the end, or will it just be a regular 6-inch field tile?
It won't be the whole way from the property line, but they'll put a stick of solid PVC at the end.
Okay.
That will go into the concrete collar in its final arrangement, yeah. And then we did have a meeting with Mr. Beggs regarding some issues on the other side of the property. And this area is kind of in progress too with the county project, with the new county highway barn there. There's going to need to be some drainage considerations in that corner of the property anyway. So we've provided the county with the topographical survey that we had in that area, and the field tile maps that we had on those in the area. So they have that, and the county's supposed to come back to us with a proposal there, and then we're still working with Mr. Beggs to try to come up with an arrangement there that satisfies everybody. So outside of that, the progress meeting notes were attached to your report from John Clair, and that's where we're at. We just talked about paving and lighting. No real update on the bipartisan infrastructure law. You're entitled to $159,000 of that. We're not exactly sure when that money will hit, but it will likely go towards that change order 1 that we approved on the grading project. So I'm guessing that there won't really be a decision to be made on it. It'll just be rolled into that change order. And then the last item, that Lowe's Pellet and Green, we did sign a contract with PY Aviation after your approval in the last meeting. So they're doing an approach evaluation for the runway approach with specific attention being paid to that parcel. And hopefully by the end of this month, we should have a report back on that. And so I should be able to provide that to you next month, hopefully, if all goes. I know he was working on it. He was asking questions last week on it. So
Okay. Very good.
that's everything I have.
Question on that bipartisan infrastructure law, you said it's $159,000.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the entitlement money that used to be $150 and now it's $159, or is my
No,
confusing those?
this is a separate piece of legislation outside of normal AIP.
Okay.
So your entitlement comes from AIP, and the discretionary funding for the project comes from AIP. The bill was a bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed, and there was a set aside for aviation.
So this is additional monies to the.
Yeah, it's an additional $2.89 billion a year for 5 years. But on it's basically being distributed on a formula base, and so every airport that is in the federal NIPIAS gets money from that, and your allocation based on your size of airport, your role in the NIPIAS is a formula based, and that's $159,000 for 5 years, assuming that your role doesn't change. If we open the runway and all of a sudden you have a base jet and you have over 100 instrument operations and so forth like that, then it could go up to the next category, which is to we told them, you know, we had to submit, on March 4th, we had to submit what you're gonna use that money for. And just to make it clear that the runway was the top priority for the community, we told them everything we got on bill is gonna go towards the runway. Because at that point in time, we didn't even have the $3 million supplemental funds that we just got last month. And so we're just trying to send a message. We wanna finish the runway as quickly as we can.
Okay, very good, Paul.
All right.
I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Jerry?
Well, everything at the airport's about normal. Hangars are full. We've still got a waiting list. The only change that's really happened is that storm a week ago last weekend, we lost our weather station. And so I got a new one on order and had it in there a couple days later. And then wasn't just a couple days ago, I noticed the scanner's not working either. So I think whatever happened, lightning strike or something, took care of that stuff for us. So I'll probably get a new scanner on order for long too. I don't know how many people ever listen to it, but if you're wanting to hear something, it's good to have. So, but other than that, just doing the normal things. A lot of mowing grass right now. That's about all I got.
Okay, very good. Next, the budget. John?
Yeah, the budget, the mayor's asking us to proceed with the 2023 budget. And, I mean, this could be either approved tonight or we could just discuss it tonight and vote on it next month, but he's wanting us to submit something, what, tonight or tomorrow. But if you look here at the budget, what's listed here is all the budgets we've had since 2018. And the right-hand column, the 2023 column is just proposed. I perused the numbers and tweaked what needed to be tweaked right here. You'll notice one of the bigger changes is in the utility services has gone up some because you've probably noticed our electric bills have gone up a bit here this last year, so we had to add some to that. Insurance is basically the same. We budgeted $12,400. We actually paid last year $12,020, so that's pretty much the same. Communication, transportation, our phone bills up just a little bit, so that's accommodated in there. And there will be monies we can cull from there for example, under repair and maintenance and such that will go towards the upgrades to the existing terminal or the old terminal here to make that a little spiffier next year. That's been discussed the last couple of meetings. But those are the numbers we looked over, and that's what I've come up with. You wouldn't hurt my feelings at all if you wanted to look it over and propose some changes, but spend some time just going over these and compare the numbers, our actual expenditures, and how things budget out the last several years also. Notice there's just a small increase of about $3,000 in the budget for 2023 over 2022. So, anybody have any questions on the budgetary items? These items, they're appropriations. These are the necessary column. These are the necessary columns that we're supposed to appropriate.
I talked to the city clerk treasurer's office, and they will take this if we approve it, and they will put it on column Y. We couldn't find column.
We couldn't find column Y. We thought this guy was dreaming. What's he
Well,
doing?
that could be, I only saw 12 versions of it. You don't have to necessarily approve it tonight. I don't want you to feel rushed. Take time to review it. But we do need to submit like the first draft to our financial people so that they can start to build out the budget. Obviously, you meet once a month. Our department heads are much different than you, in that I just work with them. But at the July meeting, we will definitely need a finalized version of this. So you don't have to approve it tonight if you don't want to.
I can give you a preliminary tonight if you.
That would be great. That way we can get it shipped off to them and they start building out the city's entire budget with it.
Okay.
So don't feel pressured, but yeah, we'll get it inputted into the forms then.
Quick question, in the budget, John talking about the terminal, do you have Kristen or somebody come out and give us some professional advice on
Yeah,
what we
we
should
can-
do to make it look?
We can work on that.
Okay.
Any other questions about that?
Thanks.
But again, this is just what I came up, and if you guys want to take a month to look it over, whatever, we can certainly do that.
John, this may be before my time, so I just question, a couple items on there like back in 2018 that are actually more than what we're gonna budget for next year, like the insurance, did we get a?
Yeah, the insurance in the past, when we started doing these budgets, we didn't really have, you notice I made these, the last couple of years, been making these just, the spreadsheets on our actual expenditures.
Right.
And when we got to track, and in fact, this budget is why I started to track these, so I could see what we were paying in different columns. And once we started to do that, we realized we were over budgeted on insurance back at that time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Same thing with communication, transportation, things like that.
that's right, yeah.
Over budgeted and,
In past years, we were, till we got to actually look at the real hard numbers, what we were actually spending.
okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
If you want, I've got copies of the spreadsheet that we have, that I pass out from the time the airport started in 2007. I've got copies of all that. I've had to supply that to the FAA a couple times.
No, that's not necessary, Bill, I just,
Okay.
I just kinda wondered why we were going down, but that's great that we're tracking numbers and actually being able to budget things better now, so.
Yeah.
It might be after we collected from tornadoes and hurricanes and whatever too, that would
Yeah.
go back down.
Yeah, it's expected when you review budgets, if some things go up, some things go down, so more up than down, so. We could certainly, if there's any more discussion, be glad to do that, or we could certainly table it, so if you want to have time to look it over on your own and finalize it next month.
Table it till next month, or however you all prefer. I'm willing to accept it now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's gonna change in a month.
Probably
I mean,
nothing.
I make a motion, we accept the budget as it is.
I'll second it.
Roll call on that, Judy?
Gary Bailey,
Yes.
John Dooley,
Yes.
Deborah Potter,
Yes.
Kevin Whipple,
Yes.
Bill Ernst.
Yes. Okay. Next thing, John, you want the Steve Lowe situation?
Yes, our board attorney, Don Tribbett, sent Bill and I a message. He has certainly offered in regards to the Steve Lowe aviation easement, that of course is airspace only. He said his offer for the aviation easement to Steve Lowe went out on May 6th, and Steve Lowe has 30 days to respond to that, and he's expecting a response. However, he said he'd like a contingent approval, just a contingent approval, if the offer is not accepted, that he could go ahead and proceed with the eminent domain activity. Mr. Tribbett could not be here tonight. He felt if we contingent approved it tonight, it would save a month, because otherwise we'd have to wait till our next monthly meeting before we approved it, before he could proceed. So he would like us to make a motion, and I'll go ahead and make a motion. Certainly there's room for more discussion if need be, that we give Mr. Tribbett the contingent approval to proceed with the eminent domain action on the Steve Lowe aviation offer if it's not accepted.
I second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
More discussion there? Anybody have more discussion about it, or?
I don't, I trust our attorney.
Any further discussion? And we got a first and a second.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Okay.
Will you let Mr. Tribbett know, or do you want me to call? Email him?
I'll give him a call tomorrow.
Okay.
And next, approval of the bills. John, you want to discuss some of the errors you found on
Well,
this?
it's not really errors, it's just a short discussion. The printout that we got from the Treasury Department was from April 7th through May 31st, about a 7-week period of time. So most of the items that we received by email that's consideration for payment was actually in last month's. So what I've done here on just the personal spreadsheet that I share with you, what's in column June 2022 are the only new ones available for this month. There are a lot of things were doubled up, or we had 2 electric bills, and a lot of things like Mr. Tribbett's bill was on last month's. The Goddard family payment was there last month's. Fred Sturchy's actually been on there 3 months in a row now, same amount of money. The Department of Revenue, that was actually for 2 months instead of 1. Again, the Meisner payment was last month, and they've listed for on this payment also. Premier Ag, all those were doubled up. They do have the dates next to the budget, next to the item, so we can see what was, and of course, we have our spreadsheet from last month. So I was able to call out what was the new items and what was not. You'll notice after all that was called out here in June 2022, we just have the items as listed there. And again, to repeat, this is 7 weeks worth of stuff, and what I've got in the far right-hand column is just for this month.
What's down there in other for $46.56?
That's actually water. Actually, that should be the next column up. That's actually the water. So move that up one column. I'll make sure I do that on the computer. So that's the only reason why this doesn't match what's on here, so.
Well, I think some of this was due, wasn't Betsy sick for a while? And then she came back and did a whole lot and got some, because I noticed, I talked to her also, they had missed part of the fuel sales. I don't know if they missed the Jet A for some reason, but she had told me she'd been off and sick for 7 days or something with her, some sort of.
She was out for a while, but I can't speak to whether that's
And
accurate
then
or
they come
not.
back, try to catch up, so, okay. Any further discussion on the bills? If not, I'll accept the motion to pay them.
I make a motion, we pay the bills as submitted.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any comments from the board or the audience? Anybody have any questions they have? If not, I'll accept the motion to adjourn and meet next month, July 7th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.